Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and welcome to Game 2 between MaNa, the green Protoss player in the lower right position, and LoWeLy, the yellow Zerg in the top left. The map is Ahana, and we all know what that means now, don't we? And we're not going to say it, because everybody knows what Ahana means, and we need to stop, as a group of casters, as players, as people in the community, mentioning what it means. Everybody should know, and if you don't, you have been hiding under the esports rock for far too long. And I'm not going to tell you. So, yeah. Anyway, let's take a quick look. Obviously, in terms of strategy, it's quite obvious, to be honest. Fast expansion on this map. Super easy to take, super easy to hold. May even be a Nexus first. The only downside to that is it's quite a short rush distance, and as a result, you can get a little bit of problems there. And obviously in game 1 we saw LoWeLy go for a quite aggressive playstyle where he just bailing busted his opponent. MaNa didn't even wait till it happened. He skipped the Zealot. He went really super economical. He skipped the Zealot. The only thing he didn't do super economically was he didn't go Nexus first, he went Forge first. So, as a result, he just GG'd out as soon as he saw the Mastlings and was just like, yeah. He should have really been alerted to it, though, because he did see 8 Zerglings out really early on. And to be honest, that should have triggered something. In my opinion, just a bit of a simple reaction of, hey, I should probably build a Zealot, maybe a second cannon. It seems a bit weird. You don't tend to see Zerg players go for that, so maybe that will be a change. And as we're seeing, we've got the Forge coming down, so it's Forge first again out of MaNa. LoWeLy, he's happily getting down his spawning pool, perfectly normal timings. That'll get followed up by his natural. His third base should come down in about 4 to 5 minutes, assuming, of course, that he is going for the standard 3 base timing, which on Ahana I imagine he will do. And the only real plus side for MaNa is he's got a lot of options available to him. For a start, all the standard 2 base plays to knock out the third base are completely viable on this map. A third base, though, is also really viable because you can completely wall off really happily, to be honest, because you've got these rocks at the back to your third, so you can just knock those out when you're ready to move out. You're completely safe from any early aggression, and you can just macro, which for some Protoss players, they absolutely love doing that. And also when you take this third base, you've got quite an easy time holding it. You can get a good little gateway wall off here, which makes it a really narrow area in order to defend, and it's all really quite comfortable, and you only have the one spot to defend as well, which is lovely. Now, the only other consideration we could have is obviously MaNa did in game 1 just chuck down a Stargate when that push hit, so as a result, potentially he could go for the same thing, potentially he may not, just because LoWeLy would have seen it and thought, hey, maybe we're going to see Stargates again. And of course, Ahana, not a great map for Stargates either, because, well, we've got no dead space around here, you've got no dead space really around here, so it's a pretty terrible map to go Stargate on, and the fact that it was scouted last time as well means you're not going to just trick your opponent into being like, he won't do that, or anything along those lines. So really that's my thought process around builds. Obviously Immortal Sentry really strong potentially, big gateway pushes really strong, and a quick thirder is also really important. So as a result, LoWeLy's going to have to scout very effectively. Sending this Overlord to the back position over here. Usually I leave my Overlord just in this position, a lot of pro players do as well, because you can then see the gas timing on the third and fourth, which is absolutely essential, because if you see those, you know the third base probably, or from the timing of those, you know what your opponent's going to be doing. The Rotoron coming out now for LoWeLy, incredibly fast Rotoron. Like, super fast. He's got the gas as well, with only no drones, so he's pulled all the drones out of that. He's got a very precise amount of gas there. He's getting 4 roaches out very quickly. A bit low on minerals. There's the 5th one. He's still got enough to build a couple more roaches. He hasn't started this third base. That is what is absolutely critical to note. His Zerglings keeping a good scout out, trying to stop anything from coming in and scouting. This probe is on its way across, trying to have a look. We've now got 7 roaches, so LoWeLy really being aggressive here, and to be honest, MaNa, he could start to struggle. This probe is going to find and make its way in. It needs to get picked off, though. Those roaches need to not get scouted. It is absolutely essential they're not scouted, but they're going to be. And, of course, that gives away precisely what's going on. We should see some panic mode out of here. Or not really panic mode, we should see a very strong reaction. There's the Connor boost going straight down on the Stalker. That's important. We probably see a second cannon as well. And, again, that's to be expected. There we go, the second cannon on its way. So, to be honest, MaNa should be in an okay position to hold this. He shouldn't take too many losses, especially with everything he's got coming out. LoWeLy not following this up. He's just getting out a couple more Overlords, because he is actually supply capped, which is never something you particularly want. The reason he's got supply cap there is because he built a very specific amount of roaches. He's also got 20 gas remaining, which ideally I would have liked to have seen him either not mine that or get out 5 more gas just to get another roach, but it's all fine. Anyway, in come the additional cannons. The Stalker is there, of course. The first cannon trying to get taken down, the second cannon there. More cannons in production, 2 more. The Sentry there as well. That is incredibly important. That force field needs to go down right on the money. Are we going to see it? We've got to. There we go. So that is exactly what MaNa needed. And to be honest, I expect to see LoWeLy pull back now. He's droning behind this. He may try and do some damage, but of course we've got another sentry on its way out. These roaches are starting to get picked at, but to be honest, it's all looking fine. The only trouble is potentially we could see this gateway getting taken down, but I think with the amount of units on the field now, we shouldn't have that problem. It'd be interesting to see whether this photon cannon is cancelled. Ideally it should be, because it's not really needed at this point. The gateway was taken down, so this is good control out of Lowly at the moment. He's pulling back, he's prodding forward, and of course he's cut all of the production available to MaNa. So MaNa is really in a tough spot, losing a sentry though as well, and straight away that is a big loss, because hell, that's 100 gas really early on. As you can see, there is only 2 gas down at the moment. This Stalker is going to have to poke and prod, manages to clean up these roaches, and to be honest, we should see this finish now. The gateway and the robotics facility on their way down at the moment for MaNa. Behind this, Lowly, the only real downside to this play is he doesn't have his third base yet, although he's got a lot of money banked up, so he should definitely chuck that down ASAP. He's got the Zergling speed coming as well now, and he's done good damage. I mean, the only thing which is really the downside to this is of course the third base, as I said, and the downside to MaNa is he's had a delay on these gateways, but as you can see, adding 4 on and the robotics facility, now the 5th gate, so may just potentially be going straight towards that Immortal Sentry all in. He's spent an awful lot of money on these cannons, that's the other downside to him, but overall they're lost pretty similar. The big important thing though is MaNa is still ahead in the worker count, and that's because there was no damage done to the workers. Getting those roaches out, also getting this early gas, meant of course that Lowly was not able to drone as heavily as he may have liked. We've got the double evolution chamber coming down, the lair coming down, the third base on its way down as well for now for Lowly. So all in all, he's getting it all together. None of this has been scouted, of course. That's the important thing. If we come down here, no information about what's going on here, and as a result, Lowly can't appropriately prepare for that. The Warp Prism actually on its way. Oh, we're going to be getting a sentry drop. This is super exciting, because of course once you get in here, you chuck down the force fields on the ramp, and then you're like, hey, come at me, bro. Oh wait, you can't. And that just hurts. It's like a dagger through the heart as a Zerg player, because you're just like, I want to defend this, I've got the units, but they're just not where they need to be. And those force fields can't be stopped, so it's all pretty tough. The plus side though is this Overlord here could literally save the game right now for Lowly. He could scout out what's coming. He needs to pull all of his units back into the main base ASAP should he see it. So in it comes. The Warp Prism is now spotted. Will Lowly react in time? Wait, yes, he's going to. That is precisely what he needs to do, and this should be pretty much fine. Now one sentry could go down, although luckily getting picked up just in time. Of course, roaches there as well. We've got the warp in of a lot of units. Force fields coming down the ramp, trying to attack the natural, but hey, only zealots against well, a lot of roaches and a lot of zerglings are not going to do too well. As you can see, going to take big damage. The Queen's getting in there as well. Force field wasn't quite on the money, so of course the second one was needed. That gets cleaned up. Meanwhile, though, the third base potentially under some aggression, but as we can see, this is all being dealt with very nicely at the moment by Lowly, who's got to try and take out this Warp Prism though, because if he doesn't get that down, he could be running into problems, but the Queen should be able to pick it off, and of course now all of these units will get cleaned up. We've got more roaches on the way, more zerglings on the way. The sentry's desperately trying to get back. Some speedlings really could do with going over there and trying to pick those off, because if he does manage to pick off those sentries, it will really hurt MaNa in the fact of what he's lost. If he manages to keep them, it's all good news. Meanwhile, obviously that one zealot will eventually die. The Queen doing a sweet little hatchery dance with that zealot, but well, along come all of these roaches. They're going to try and deal with that. The zealot has been taken out now, and of course these sentries have managed to survive. The macro hatch coming out behind this, so that is all good. Meanwhile, we do have the +2 Protoss ground weapons. We've got the Immortal on its way out. That's the first Immortal, I do believe, on the field. Let's take a quick check. Yep, it is. So really a nice transition now. The Observer is going to get great information about what's going on. Going to see this infestation pit, which so far has not been scouted. So spotting that infestation pit, really important. The infestor timing, incredibly essential to knowing what you can and can't do. These roaches and zerglings are looking pretty threatening. The rock's getting taken out. That's the first indicator. The MaNa really looking to take his third base. The zerglings there though, so going to scout all of this, and that's important as well, because Lowly now knows, hey, my opponent's trying to take a third base. He has two choices really when he sees that. Choice one is, hey, I'm going to take my fourth and stay a base up, which all good Zerg players should do, or he can come and kill you. And that is ultimately like something that so many players forget, that it's always an option just to go and kill your opponent. It inherently has risks, such as they could defend and then you're in a really bad spot, but it also has big pluses in that if they're dead, you've won the game. And of course Lowly one game up already, so MaNa really fighting to deal with this. And as you can see, Queen's coming down, the 5th and 6th gas on their way. No real big things coming down. Obviously, the 2-2 upgrades. Pathogen Glands is done, but the first Infestors only just on their way out now. Plus 3 Protoss ground armor on its way. The complete wall off being created here by the addition of that gateway. So that is absolutely essential. Another Wall Prism is out on the field. Now, this hive timing, perfectly normal. We're 14 minutes into the game, so a transition into most likely Broodlords. We haven't got the Spire starting yet. As I say it, the Spire does just start, and my chain of thought there was purely you get the hive and you get the Spire at the same time because they both take 100 seconds to build, and therefore as soon as the hive finishes, you can start your Greater Spire, allowing you to get those Broodlords out at the earliest possible convenience. Now, a small little Zealot drop is going to be coming down. It's going to be hitting this third base. It's not something to be too worried about, because, hey, you've got an awful lot of units sitting here. The fourth base just on its way down. The only downside is it's not going to get spotted because no Overlords anywhere along the right-hand side of the map. Actually, the Overlord placement as a whole is a bit disappointing. Lowly doesn't have good vision of what's going on. The Stalker's pushing forward a little bit. Of course, they've got Blink now. This War Prism coming in towards the third. All the units getting pulled back to try and deal with that. So the Zealots may get a couple of shots off, but to be honest, everything should be able to get back in time to defend this almost certainly. And well, actually looking at this, it may be pretty close. I hope the cancel's not forced because that would be terrible for Lowly. And it looks like he should be able to hold it, but only just. That was so ridiculously close. That was pretty sick. Meanwhile, this War Prism is going to die. There was a fungal growth on it, so of course the Queen was able to pick it off there. The Overlord spread going quite nicely. Drop tech is done for Overlords as well, so we could see some dropping going on. A Stargate coming down as well now for MaNa. He's got his first Colossus on the field. He's got the 2 Immortals there as well. He's the second Colossus rather is down. Sorry, didn't spot that one. Meanwhile, Overlord's gearing up everywhere. Are we going to see a drop into the main base? It would be pretty potent and pretty cool if it was to go down, but of course no units here at the moment. Are we going to see anything go? These 2 Stalkers though, chilling there, just being like, hey, I can take you out. Meanwhile, 10 Corruptors are on the way out. The Greater Spire is morphing as well, so Broodlord transition is en route. Are we going to see units load up here? Yes, we are. A good number of Zerglings on their way out. Meanwhile, of course, the rest of these Overlords spreading out, trying to get good information, generating creep at the 4th base potentially, or the 5th base potentially as well, just to try and minimize the risk there. These 2 Stalkers, though, are going to be quite threatening all the way through. Meanwhile, a big pullback. The Greater Spire is nearly done its 3/4 of the way through, and of course, once we start getting Broodlords hitting, that is the big point where really the Protoss player ends up in a lot of problems. Sparring forward wall on its way through as well. These Overlords, I don't know if they can be seen. No, they can't, so that of course is good news for Lowly, because if they were spotted, they just get taken out pretty simply. But potentially a good little attack coming in, and well, in they move. And how quickly is MaNa going to be able to react? He could potentially lose an awful lot of probes right now, and that could be big problems for him. Meanwhile, we've got engagement in the middle, some force woods coming down. This is not getting reacted to that quickly. Some units are on their way in, getting warped in, but a lot of the attention was in the center of the map, so they did manage to get a couple of free kills for a while, but only 6 workers were taken down. So all in all, not a big loss in my opinion. The MaNa now pushing forward. He's 10 supply behind. 10 Broodlords are morphing in though. And those 10 Broodlords are a long way back at the 3rd base. So potentially this 4th could be in a lot of trouble. Of course, it took a lot of damage earlier on in the game. We've got a Stalker coming in here now, trying to pick off that Overlord of the 4th. And even if it does pick it off, that creep takes so long to recede. And my goodness guys, I don't mean to overexcite you, but carriers are en route. And of course, carriers are one of the coolest units in the game. Burrowed Banelings are the coolest thing in the game, as you all know, but well, carriers are pretty awesome as well. The Broodlords, they're moving forward. Ooh, we're getting to Deathball v Deathball. MaNa not going to be able to engage this too comfortably because he does only have 23 Stalkers right now against those 10 Broodlords. The 4 Infestors for Lowly means that there's not a huge number of fungal growths, etc., which could cause him some problems. And MaNa with the carriers as well. All of the Corruptors have been made into Broodlords at the moment, so there's no real anti-air, which means that potentially that could be absolutely huge. So we'll wait and see how the engagement goes. With the Broodlords moving forward, they may get a couple of good shots off. The Broodlings are going to start engaging. Of course, that does reveal that the Broodlords are out, and well, MaNa, he's pulling straight back. He's got 2 carriers in production at a time, which is just awesome. He's got the first one out already. The Infestors are moving forward. These probes can have to start pulling back, and MaNa does have the supply lead. That is what is so critically important. We've got the Ultralisk Cavern behind this, the 3/3 melee upgrades coming down. Upgrade-wise, for MaNa, he's at 3/1, and he gets a fantastic blink forward. He literally could not have asked for a better blink, getting off 3 Broodlords so quickly. The Infestors trying to chain fungal as best they can, but look at this, the Stalkers moving back. All the Colossi are unfortunately getting exposed, but well, all in all, the Stalkers have survived for the time being, and getting those snipes off was absolutely essential. The Immortal unfortunately is going to go down, but a good wall off here with the cannon means that basically that push going to get counteracted. We've got more Stalkers on their way in. Looking at the loss tab, MaNa has lost about, well, call it 2,000 more resources than his opponent, 3,000 odd, and as a result, he is slightly behind because the 4th base is up for Lowly, but all in all, I would say that little blink forward was absolutely brilliant. Of course, we do have a good number of carriers coming up, and of course, carriers, I am just so excited by seeing carriers. They are, of course, producing their lovely little interceptors. We've even got the +2 Protoss air weapons is what I meant to say. The 4th base now coming down as well for MaNa. That means that essentially Lowly has to take his 3rd. He's getting more Broodlords out. He's trying to engage. He's got the 6 Broodlords. He's got the 6 Corruptors as well. So I'll be interested to see if they morph in 2 Broods. He's also got the Ultras coming down. Now, that is a nice little tech switch. Apart from the fact they don't shoot up. A greater warping stops anything else getting into this base. But is the carrier going to get spotted? Is it going to get spotted? No, it didn't yet. That, of course, so critical. We do have a drop down in the main base, of course, revealing all of those carriers, which means that, well, Lowly instantly producing some more Corruptors, which potentially put him in a good spot. So we'll wait and see exactly what's going to go down. But, well, for the moment, MaNa, he's just got to hold this off. If he deals with these Corruptors effectively, he's really in the money because his carrier count is getting quite high. He's got 4. He's about to have his 5th and 6th carrier out as well now. The 2nd Spire on its way down. That's just really for the double upgrades. We do have +2 air armor on its way through for the ZvP at the moment. This 4th base definitely going to go down. Going to have to get cancelled, but no, it doesn't. And I'm just looking on to see if there's any reason that wasn't cancelled. I can't see any drops going on. I can't see anywhere else the MaNa's attention could have or should have been other than getting that cancel off. And even if you are really doing quite well, you've got a good late game army, you're really doing okay, you can't afford to not cancel a Nexus. That is a lot of resources lost that you can never really afford to do. We do have the Templar Archives on the way down the 4th base, trying to get restarted, but a good number of Zerglings there at the moment. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the army count for Lowly. Well, we've got the 2 Ultras, the 6 Broodlords, 12 Corruptors, and 9 Infestors. That is up against, of course, the 14 Stalkers and 6 Carriers. The 7th and 8th Carrier is on its way down, and this is just awesome. I don't remember the last serious game where I saw carriers. Actually, I do. That's a lie. I cast one a little while ago. I can't remember who was between, though. Unfortunately, the carriers failed quite miserably. But that's beside the point. That doesn't matter. Lowly still being relentless in this dropping, and dropping in a whole load of Zerglings into the main is really, really annoying. Contaminate goes down on the Stargates, and of course this is actually going to be able to get off good damage because, hey, there's quite a lot of units here, and, well, these Zerglings are, of course, 3/3. I believe they have adrenal glands. Yes, they do. So that basically means that they're going to be able to do very, very nice damage. The Corruptors moving forward, not potentially what you want to do, though, leaving them exposed, allowing the Interceptors to pick off 2 of them for essentially nothing, which is exactly what MaNa wants. He wants those good little engagements there. He wants to keep the Corruptor count down. And, well, Psionic Storm on its way, the +3 air weapons upgrade on its way. We do have these Zerglings doing pretty good, and now we've got a massive pause going on there or something, which is actually quite big at this stage because, as we can see, MaNa trying to deal with all of this going on. He's got to find some way to really manage all of this aggression, and, well, we've got a big push coming in now. This is where everything could win or lose. The Stalkers need to focus down these Corruptors. We do see the first carrier falls. So many infested Terrans on their way down as well. This is a pretty tough engagement, but the Corruptor count is slowly diminishing, and, well, once those Corruptors are gone, we could see trouble. Great storms going down on those infested Terrans, and that instantly clears them out. That makes those carriers just so strong. And, well, this is all going on. Of course, the natural base of MaNa is getting sieged through by these Ultras and a couple of Roaches with the Broodlords. All going to get taken down, and MaNa can really just deal with this now. But 20 Corruptors are in production, and, of course, those Corruptors could potentially knock out all of this. This ground force still needs to get taken down. The natural base is almost certainly going to die. We do have another carrier Unrude as well. The resupply, though, is going to be absolutely deadly for Lowly right now, and MaNa has to do something to engage with this very, very well. 1-star port, Stargate rather, is going to fall, but in come all of these units. Just look at how many Corruptors are coming across. We do have 20 Corruptors up against the 7 carriers and 5 High Templar. The Ultras are trying to get taken down now. Looking at the energy-wise here, no energy at all for a Storm. That is going to be the big problem. The carriers need to be as careful as they can. Ultras with 5 armor are doing an incredibly good job at dealing with the Interceptors and, well, not dealing with them, but taking a lot of damage for them. But in come the Corruptors. MaNa in an absolutely huge amount of problems right now. He needs to engage this quite well. The Storm goes off, and, well, to be honest, these Corruptors are just going to start eating through absolutely everything, and, well, as we can see, good damage is getting done here, and there's the GG out of MaNa. So Well, we're going to go on to game 3. I cannot wait until we see that, so I will catch you at game 3 any second. Before you go, like the video because, hey, there was carriers. Leave a cool comment and subscribe. See you at game 3 any second. I'm Madals. Bye for now.